So, shopping in Japan, it can be a very exciting experience, but it can also be confusing. The vast amount of options, the hidden gems, the actual locations, and honestly finding the right size can all lead to some pretty ridiculous shopping culture shock. And while there are plenty of how to buy fashion or how to buy brands in Japan tutorials out there, we even have one, we also thought it prudent to give you a guide to actually shopping in Japan. Like if you come here, practically. I'm THECASUAL, and this is the obviously self-proclaimed ultimate guide to shopping Japanese brands. Let's get it. All right, so the first thing on our list is know your style, or at the very least, know the style you are going for. It seems simple, but let's go a little bit deeper. Japanese fashion is very simple to navigate once you get your bearings. Each shop has its own aesthetic. So if you have a specific style you're trying to achieve, there really is no better place than Japan. Not because this methodology doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, but because in Japan, this is how most things, including fashion, are presented. Japanese brands and businesses expect consumers to already know what they're getting themselves into. So if you know what you're trying to get into, then shopping is a far more pleasant experience. Next, research adjacent brands. So this is a piggyback off of knowing your style, but you should also know what labels occupy your space. There is, let's say, a healthy competition in Japan when it comes to fashion brands, but the general consensus is that we're all in this together, like a family, which means many brands can occupy the same space aesthetically. They may have different methodology in the design process and be wildly different as far as success and exposure is concerned, but they kind of have this horizontal style. Like think Undercover in Takahiro Miyashita the Soloist, or even Y3 in AF Artifact. Researching these different brands not only expands your choices, but it prevents you from having that feeling of sameness that you'll inevitably have if you keep on shopping the same brand. Now, one tactic that is most effective is choosing two styles you particularly enjoy or employ in your wardrobe right now, and find the most popular label in Japan that caters to that style. Now, once you do that, find the labels that are adjacent to that popular brand, and I can guarantee you'll find something. And if you're having trouble where to start, make a request in the comment section below. You have me to help you. Next up, research the areas. Shopping in Japan is not a one-size-fits-all experience. Despite the size of the country, styles, offerings, and brands are wildly different depending on where you are actually located. Shinjuku, for example, caters to more upscale business and luxury. Ginza is primarily designer luxury. Shibuya is street and alternative culture. Shimokizawa is vintage city boy styles, and Daikanyama has organic, upscale, natural vibes running through its veins. This basically gives you an idea on what to expect when you arrive and direct you to the right area for your preferences. Don't be fooled by the bright lights of one place, i.e. Harajuku. Understand your destination and you'll find it far more interesting and fruitful and far better for you. Now we got a few more on the list, but before that, let's get a word from our sponsor, Squarespace. A big part of fashion is community, and building a fashion brand or any business requires a strong one. That's why using Squarespace for your new website might be the way to go. Besides being packed with great website templates, built-in SEO and analytics, Squarespace's new members areas make it easy to create, foster, and grow a community of true fans. Give back by giving members exclusive content, discounts, and much more, all while monetizing your business. So use our code squarespace.com/thecasual to save 10% off of your first website, and let Squarespace help you build your brand, business, and community. All right, so this is a good one. The path less traveled. What do I mean by that? So once you decide on what area and what brands cater to your needs, it's time for you to embrace the element of getting lost. Not like really lost, but going in the opposite direction of the wave. Now, it's really easy to get caught up in the moment and go to the most popular area and the most popular location in that area, leading to over-tourism, which is a conversation for another channel. Part of the reason the surface level is so enticing, though, is because it's still very good. It still serves up great value and options. It's just not the real classic experience, and it's not the very best. It's still good, though. Now, my job is to provide the path it's up for you to walk it. So once you do make it to these areas, go off the beaten path a bit. Walk down an interesting alleyway with less people. You'll be surprised, but also more often greeted with a certain bit of enthusiasm from staff and store managers. And if you don't want to do that, if you're like, man, just tell me the places, I will definitely show you a few places on here. But understand that discovery and just experiencing Japan, even in the fashion sense, is just a very gratifying experience. All right, so next up, select shops. Shops like Beams, United Arrows, LHP, Lazy Hazy Planet, Loom Osaka, Hughes Fukuoka, and more are your absolute cheat code. Not only do some of the bigger ones, namely Beams and UA, have their own in-house labels, which are phenomenal, they also carry a throng of other labels that cater to various styles and aesthetics. And what's really important is that they provide phenomenal guidelines for putting the various pieces together. Staff are knowledgeable about pairing, about fabric, about pretty much everything. For instance, Loom Osaka, which I shop at a lot. Online, because I don't live in Osaka. But anyway, it does a great job of teaching its audience how to style the deconstructed, brutalist post-avant-garde fashion from brands like AF Artifact to Catherine Hammett. Nepenthez, which you probably know about, and its lineup of labels also occupied that space as well. So select shops do more help than not when navigating Japanese fashion from a styling point of view, and also learning about what other labels exist in the aesthetic of your choosing. All right, so next up is embrace androgyny. Now, I know some of you feel a certain kind of way about that, but as many of you probably know, androgyny or genderless clothing plays a big role in Japanese fashion. And when I say embrace it, it doesn't mean you have to try it. It simply means you should consider the effect it has on a massive selection of brands and labels in Japan. Stylistically, at the street level, androgyny plays a pivotal role in fashion design methodology. I don't want to go too deep into it, but for labels like Monkey Time, Maison Special, Wizard, the level of detail and nuance beyond typical gender stereotypes is palpable. In fact, Beams Boy is literally a sub-label from Beams created for women who enjoy the silhouettes of menswear while adhering to traditional feminine sensibilities. Understand that embracing this aspect of Japanese fashion during the shopping experience opens up the door wide open to an array of options beyond the traditional. So when I say embrace androgyny, I'm saying look at the pieces and look at what they do rather than who they are for, which is really important, I guess. But anyway, last up, something that many of you already know, shop vintage and used. Now, Japan has officially become world famous for its vintage used scene to the point it's been overstated. Areas like Shimokitazawa have just as many tourists as Japanese nowadays as a result. But what many of you may not know is that much like the other guidelines in this very episode, there's a bit of nuance involved. Different areas, again, can cater to different aesthetics. And because of that, you could be looking for stuff that just doesn't exist in the area you are looking. For example, the aforementioned Shimokitazawa, while world famous now, actually caters to the street and city boy aesthetic for the most part. Shinjuku, on the other hand, will have places like Komehyo, which, if I'm being honest, Komehyo is a store chain, and it could be anywhere really, but its claim to fame is luxury and upper market brands. Ragtag is also in that category at times, but depending on what ragtag you go to in a particular area, you may be served up with different options. Then there's hidden places or different levels of places. Stores like Rinkan do this. Like one Rinkan can be like all jewelry, and then the other one could be clothing from like 2014, 2015. You just never find it again. Or you have places like Modescape Shibuya, who carry luxury resale, but place their credence on off-kilter offerings like Headmaner or Araki-yu. In fact, a place like Modescape is often one of the only places to find defunct labels that haven't had a collection in years. It certainly is the case for Araki-yu. So when I say shop secondhand and vintage, understand that it's more than just go to where everything and everyone is. What I'm saying is there may be a specific place you need to be in order to find something special. And to do that, you need to have the knowledge of the area that caters to the aesthetic you employ. So you kind of have to know the culture of these places or these areas in order to find some unique things. Lucky for you, you have a cheat code. The casual. because I just gave you a few tidbits and I'm planning to give you more. So if you stick with us right here, I got more on the way. And we're gonna go to like places and do it, not just right here. I'm gonna show you the places, hopefully. And that is your comprehensive guide, or comprehensive ultimate guide to shopping in Japan, or at least shopping how locals do. In the future, we'll be assessing each of these areas, like I told you, to give you an idea of what places are best for your sensibilities or your aesthetics. So if you have any requests, let them be known in the comments below. Anything is good. You can also suggest what other info you want as well. It helps us build out a plan and helps you, of course, because that's what we are. We're information gathering and giving channel, whatever. Anyway, with all that said, join us on YouTube or Patreon for benefits and extras if you can. It helps us keep this thing going and serves you a bigger and better reviews and insights. But at the very least, drop a sub, like, turn on notifications if you found this content valuable or entertaining to you. But most importantly, keep it locked right here for all of your info in international fashion, culture, and business from Tokyo. It's your boy, and keep it casual. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. And I will see you guys in a minute.